Good morning, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us today. So we are now at the first CyberMajlis of 2025. As you know, last year we had our CyberMajlis, which was more like an introduction of the premiere of the CyberMajlis. That was more like a gala. We did have a lot of interesting speakers last time and a lot of interesting topics that were covered. This last year, when we had our last CyberMajlis, there was quite a few topics. The two of the biggest trending topics are generative AI and cyber threats and cybersecurity. Somehow these trends have changed. In concept, they're the same, but in the past few months, they've changed a lot. And they've both grown. Unfortunately, some people are using the first to power the second. And at the same time, there's people that are using it to also protect themselves. With that, I'd like to introduce Ahmed Zarouni, who is the president of CyberMajlis, to further talk about these topics. Thank you.
So that's why we have spent one of our major KPI of 2024 was to study generative AI and real application of it. Well, so we just had a quick talk about how everyone is just bluffing, sorry to say, that I have Gen AI, but in reality they have nothing. Or they will use it just for a chatbot, which is it's not designed to be that. And we really had a very challenging objective to apply Gen AI in ICD, and it should touch all of the verticals that we have. And I can tell you it was, alhamdulillah, one of the most interesting and successful project. We have Katya, she's into the Gen AI, and Falcon was one of their mega projects. Falcon, it was, I think, third ranked in the world. And Dr. Luigi here, he's from the cybersecurity point of view, he will give us a lot of insight on what's going on with the cybersecurity. And we have a dedicated session where all of us will be sharing what challenges we are facing, what we need to do. So we'll have like a special session where all of us will be discussing about our challenges, what we need to do, how we solve that problem, how we can do in this. And perhaps, for sure, we will learn something, one or two things. So Zaki, thank you very much and good luck.
Just a quick introduction about myself. My name is Zaki Saime. I lead the business applications in ICD. With that, I would like to introduce our first guest, Kate Kamarchuk. So just a quick introduction before we go into Kate's presentation. So Kate is the commercial director at AI71. So Ahmed spoke very quickly about Falcon. So they're under the same umbrella group. So Falcon is under TII, and the AI71 is part of Venture One. So they're under the same family of companies and groups. The interesting thing about Falcon, of course, is that they were a pioneer in many ways in what they were doing. Yes, it's very competitive right now, but they started out and we're very proud of what they did. They're a UAE-based organization that did something that was quite novel at that time. And in some ways, they set the stepping stones for other organizations. A bit more about Kate. She manages budgets exceeding $100 million and leads multinational teams. She has over 11 years of experience in AI, secure communications, and digital transformation. And she leads AI strategy for critical client projects and go-to-market execution.
So overall, of course, the reason I'm here today is because there's so much buzz around Gen AI. Everyone wants to do something in the space. I think it's one of the most hyped up domains at the moment, which leads to a lot of almost anxiety-driven investment in the domain. Everyone wants to be there. Everyone is afraid to be left behind, which leads to a lot of chaos and lack of structure in how people approach it. Ending up in random pilots all over the organization, trying to play around with different technologies that fail to actually scale broader. And actually, if anything, this wave teaches us that organizations can do better in managing their data. Data security risk, especially, I believe for a lot of you, that's a very important topic, and it hinders the ability of the organizations also to experiment in the domain. So experimentation is important. I don't want to kill the experimentation part of the conversation, but always tying it to measurable outcomes is the key. Then capability building, it's like with any new digital transformation wave, there is plenty of knowledge that needs to be adopted by the organization, and it's not just technology. Building out the technology capability is one part, so making sure your people are aware of all the tools available for them, they are able to scale the data layer, the infrastructure layer, and so on. But one of the big parts is actually making sure your business users are ready for this, right? They know how to extract value of these tools. So track one is always setting up a digital factory, so to say, which will enable the first AI use cases delivery in a rapid way, right? So that's your experimentation vehicle. That's your quick wins. So the first track will enable you to uncover the challenges, your data gaps, your capability gaps, and so on and so forth. The second track is a bit more structural investment, both from the financial and the time standpoint, is actually building this center of excellence that's going to cover in a structured way different domains that we've covered before. So having the clear roadmap is the first step. Then the capability building, I mentioned briefly on this, so we'll move on. Data and technology on multiple domains, making sure that your data is prepared for the Gen AI wave, because fundamentally, it's garbage in, garbage out. If your data is not really structured, you will not be able to get any significant benefit. When I say garbage in, it's not just the quality of the data, it's also the dispersion of the data, right? So the organizations tend to actually have it a little bit all over the place. So you'll have multiple systems with very complicated either access controls or not enough synergies between different platforms that are in place. So there's two ways of sort of looking at this challenge. There's quality of the data and accessibility of the data, and they both need to be addressed for the systems to be able to give you the maximum benefits you're looking for. And fundamentally, there are two big things. There's impact, obviously, and there is feasibility. Highly feasible and high impactful use cases, obviously, is your quick wins. I encourage you not to shy away from those, because this is where the real value longer term will lay. But these are the ones you cannot start addressing from the get-go. These are the ones that are benefiting from this two-track approach. When you picked up the lighthouse in the track one in your quick iterative waves approach, it will enable you for the big wins later on. And to the industry example that I was referring to, having a defense organization in mind, we're having a large group of companies all under one roof, but have very distinct ways of doing business altogether. So you have a very challenging governance situation on the organization level, but a lot of appetite for technology risks, for innovation, and so on. The way we address, and you can see the split basically per the tracks that I was outlining earlier. We tackle the horizontal use cases first, so those that don't have the core business effect, but they touch pretty much everyone in the organization. So this gives you this lighthouse project effect. People realize the value, people start growing the capability, people realize the gaps, which is the huge learning point for the overall transformation that you're doing. And it also easier to capture business value, because let's say if we're talking about some of the HR or IT use cases, it transpires into money very directly.
So I think just very quickly, in ICD, so Mr. Ahmed is asking about ICD. So in ICD, you know that we're government, but we're also treated like, in some ways, regulation-wise, like a bank. So our first priority, there's a lot of things we can do in AI. We did reach out to business. We have the AI use cases, but our approach is more of, I guess you can say, track 1 and track 3, which is more to try to develop, and in some ways also track 4. So we want people to start using our AI tools, because they cannot use, for example, ChatGPT for confidential documents. We've just started, we did a lot of our own research. The way we're approaching it first is that we're going to start working with documents and questions around these documents and comparison documents. This is where we're going to start right now. So it's more of a ChatGPT and internal ChatGPT replacement. We do have use cases, we're studying them, but the maturity level, moving that quickly is very difficult. And you always have to have governance in the back of your mind to make sure that you don't open up data to separate departments by mistake and these things. but we've started, and we all hope that you also do the same. With that, I'd like to thank you very much for today's speaker, as a speaker today for today's speech, and we'd like to give you a small token of appreciation, if you don't mind.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.